Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hunted Podcast. We are excited to bring this to you. It is going to be episode 1. Levi and I have finally got around with his schedule and my schedule to get this going, so we are both excited to jump into that. But before we get into that, we got to go through and we got to thank our sponsors, because without them, some of this couldn't be done. And we got some great sponsors, let me tell you. We got Rec Broadheads. I'm shooting the FX4s. Not really having any good luck with that, but it's not their fault at all. Levi's went through and smoked 2 of them with their mechanicals. I can't quite remember what those were called.
The XP.
The XP, he's blowing holes in deer left and right. And then we got a local guy here, Corey, with his Wild Oak Whitetails buck lure. He's in from a little nothing area, but it's fresh to the bottle. 1 buck, 1 bottle. Get a hold of Corey, Wild Oak Whitetail. He'll hook you up. And then kind of another local dealer too is Dominant Strands Bowstrings. Met with Lewis on the phone, getting some string information and things like that, and he's been nothing but great. He's definitely helped me with some of my major questions when I was trying to get some of my bow stuff figured out. I changed my strings. I wasn't sure if it had something to do with strings. Lewis is just a plethora of information when it comes to things like that. And then another local one, we're all local here, which is great for us starting off, is ECW Hunting Calls. They are down by Peoria. Jeff goes through and has him and his people, they make everything by hand, and it's not just hunting calls. He goes through, I don't even know if you know this, Levi, but he goes through and he makes like razor holders. He makes little pins. He makes all types of stuff by hand. So he's always dibble-dabbling into something. He makes buck calls for deer season. He makes all types of goose calls, snow geese calls, duck calls, all that good stuff. So just like everybody else, go check him out. And then my buddy from Evan on Morath Welding, he got a hold of me, and if you know Evan, he always wants to get his fingers in everything, and he's a go kind of guy, so we're definitely happy to have him on there. And then finally, last but definitely not least, we got Nature Made Jewelry, and I'll kind of let Levi explain that a little bit on what they are.
That's kind of my wife's adventure there. She basically turns all of our shed antlers that we find every year into jewelry. She's making rings, men's and women's. I actually do the majority of that for her because it's a little harder to do. She makes bracelets, necklaces, about anything you can imagine. She's got a few different lines that she's going to be coming out with, more of a traditional jewelry and then more of kind of like a Western collection. We're going to add some elk and mule deer antler into those and some turquoise and stuff like that. So be on the lookout for those. They're really, really cool.
Yes, they are. I've seen some pictures of them and all that good stuff. They most definitely are. They can get you on Facebook on that, right?
Yeah, yep. You can find us on Facebook there, send us a message. We're also on Etsy right now since we're kind of redesigning some things. We haven't really posted anything on there recently for sale, but once we're back up and running on there, we'll be sure to post on Facebook, and you can get on there and we can ship it right to your door.
That's awesome. I love all of our sponsors are local people, and they're all good local people too. So hopefully we can keep them happy to where they want to stay with us for a while.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, man, this is number 1. We're finally here. We've been talking about this for almost a year, right?
It's been a long time coming.
It has definitely been a long time coming. So just to give all the listeners just a quick kind of rundown of what we're going to do. It's going to be kind of just excuse the train horns. I'm sure everybody can hear that in the background. It'll be a few minutes and they'll be gone. But we're just going to go through and just give kind of a quick kind of rundown on what our plans are as far as the show goes, our property goes, things in general with the family life, getting out to hunt and all that stuff. I was just telling Levi earlier that some of the podcasts and stuff that I hear, and I'm like, you sit here and you hear all these podcasts about people, and you're like, dude, how the hell does this guy even know anything? I mean, unless you're like a big name, something or other, and you got, 180s, 200 inches on your wall everywhere, like nobody takes you credible of any kind. So I'll kind of turn it over to you real quick and let you go through, because you were just telling me you've been bow hunting for 24 years.
Yeah, 24 years this year. Been hunting in total 26. Started out turkey hunting when I was 8. Moved to gun hunting deer when I was 9, and then bow hunting when I was 10. Been fortunate ever since. Was able to tag an animal in each one of those seasons at those ages. So, it just kind of lit the passion in me, and kind of took it from there and created a monster.
Yeah, oh, I understand that completely because if anybody that knows me, I knew what turkey hunting was, never really got bit into it. But when we got together, dude, I mean, you put that passion and that desire right into me for turkey hunting. And I'm almost, my deer season's not going well, so I'm almost looking forward to more to turkey season coming.
Oh, yeah. Once the calendar kind of hits December, January, I still got chasing big bucks in the back of my mind, but turkeys are moving to the front pretty quick. Yeah, just kind of helps break up the monotony of wintertime thinking about that and waiting on shed season to come and all that stuff and dreaming of warmer weather.
Right, absolutely. But speaking of warm weather, if you guys don't know Levi, he's pretty modest, but Levi's a deer killer. Okay, so he goes out, him and I chat all the time back and forth and everything. So I'll let you know why he's credible. So we'll go through and he'll tell me all of his setups he's got going on his property. We went out together, we go set some of these things up, and I mean it's down to a science. He's down to the winds come from this way, I don't even think about going. I got a wind coming from this way, I'm absolutely going. Cold fronts coming in, warm temperatures, he's leaving. I mean he's got all this stuff down to a science. I believe one of the videos that we're going to talk or hopefully be able to bring to you, we got little snippets of it. But one of the episodes that we're going to go through, we'll be talking about him going out this year. And I believe it was it your actual first sit of the year?
It was my second. I had 2 sits early and shot a doe the first sit, second sit, filled my first buck tag.
Right, and you had deer all over you.
Yeah, just covered up from, an hour and a half before dark all the way to dark. I mean, it was just incredible. A lot of buck movement. Testosterone was starting to flow.
Right.
And, yeah, everybody was kind of getting in the groove.
Right, and that's something else, too, like I'm talking about, down to the science. He understands, like, I mean, I'm one of those guys that he's kind of told me a little bit, pump the brakes, October 1, everybody wants to kill a big deer, but unless you got X, Y, and Z, don't even think about it. I mean, when did you even go out, even step foot in the timber the first time?
I think I sat that first night. It was around maybe the 15th October.
Right. That's and it goes back to like I was saying, the wind and the weather and all this stuff. Because you think the 15th of October, you're thinking the lull's about ready to kick off.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, that myth is kind of out there of the October lull. I don't necessarily like to call it the October lull because those deer are moving somewhere.
Absolutely.
And you're coming off of bachelor groups breaking up, the rut's getting close, and food sources are changing, beans are changing, corn's coming out. Those deer are somewhere. You just got to find them. And the weather plays a lot on that too. So, yeah, I don't like to necessarily call it an October lull. It might be a lull because you're not seeing anything. But scout from a distance, scout more than you hunt, let your cameras do your work, you're going to find them.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Levi's been telling me this whole time. I'm telling him I want to go do this, and he's like, well, what are you seeing? Well, I'm not seeing anything. And he's just kind of, without saying, he's kind of like, well, do you really think you need to go, stupid? If you're not seeing anything, then nothing's really probably going on out there, and you're just going to booger it up more than anything else. So, like I said, he's a very modest guy, but he's definitely helped me out with getting stuff planned. We've already got plans for my property next year. We were talking about earlier. I can't wait for us to go through and drop an episode about that. We're going to focus all on my property for one, things with his and that. We can keep going on with, I guess bragging about him, saying what he does, what he knows, and all that good stuff. But we'll save that for another time. But and then what I bring to the table is I definitely have been in the outdoors for many, many, many years, but I've only been into deer hunting for I bet 7 years, 8 years. I got together with a group of guys and we went through and kind of did a little hunting team, like so many people get started and everything. And I got with a buddy of mine who showed me how to use a camera, and I've been beyond grateful ever since. I mean, it's definitely an expensive hobby, but once you go through and you get it figured out, man, you can go out there and you can lay some footage down, some high quality good stuff with. It is expensive, but it's not you got to go out and get this red camera that's $10,000 and you got to buy this high end Canon whatever lens that's $4,000 and all this stuff. So I know how to run a camera, and then
well, and that's how a lot of guys get their start, especially in the outdoor industry, is going and running a camera for somebody and learning the ropes, especially if you don't know a lot about hunting. And as you can see in the short time that you've been hunting, really lights a fire in you. And that's, how a lot of people get their start, whether it be just going and sitting with somebody or running a camera.
Oh yeah, and like you were saying, that's how people kind of get their start. Well, I got lucky enough to where I don't really say what TV show it was. I'm not saying we left on bad terms. I'm not saying we left on great terms. I don't know how things went, so I'm just going to leave their stuff out. But I was lucky enough to go through and film for a hunting TV show for about a year and a half. And I mean, it's one of those things to where you realize that there's a whole bunch more than just going out there, setting stuff up, harvesting your animal and sitting and be done. I mean, it goes through, and I almost get just as excited holding the camera, watching somebody harvest something as I do to go through and do it. So as far as the hunting side, I'm still learning, and I'm sure you're the same way. You're still learning.
Oh yeah, you never stop learning.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm learning a bunch from you. I know definitely you're learning stuff like camera wise and stuff from me.
For sure.
I mean, I think you give me the same look that I give you. Kind of like I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we definitely feed off of each other on that, and the same thing with the camera. Running the camera or bow hunting, turkey hunting, anything like that. The day you stop learning is the day that you should probably quit, because you literally learn something every day you have that camera, gun, bow, call in your hand.
Absolutely. Can't agree more. So that, like I said, is kind of a quick rundown of just how him and I kind of know at least a little bit of something for you to tune in, which is kind of why, or another reason kind of why we wanted to venture over into the podcast side, is we wanted to go through and bring our little bit of know-how to people and, kind of show them the ways that they can at least go. We're definitely not saying that we are the top notch, the best of the best. Like, you need to follow exactly what we're saying by any means, but we can at least point you in the right direction.
And we're going to have some guests on here too.
Yes.
Throughout the year that might do things differently than we do, might know more things than we do, and we're all aiming for the same goal. So follow along with us with those guys, and I guarantee you, between us and them, you're going to learn a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean, my road's a little busier than you think, and the cars and all this stuff going by. So with that being said, in case you guys don't know, we're shooting this in my shed. It's literally me and Levi in my truck and the traffic going by. So you're going to hear a whole bunch of stuff on the outside. But with that being said, our guests and stuff, I'm very excited to meet with almost all of them. Well, I mean, not almost. I am excited to meet with all of them. Because like you were saying, they all bring different stuff to the tables. I mean, because we're going to hopefully get the guy. Well, I don't say hopefully. I'm sure we are. We're going to get Matt from Wreck Broadheads.
Yeah.
He's either going to come down and sit with us one-on-one, and we're going to do a late season hunt with him, or we're going to just get him on the phone and chit chat away, and we're going to have be able to talk about from Broadheads. To we're going to get Lewis from Dominant Strands. He's going to get on here with us another time, and he's going to be able to sit there and talk with us all about, strings and everything else. And I'm sure there's multiple things. I mean, I know stuff about bows. I know stuff about bows, but I'm sure there's stuff that he's going to tell us, and we're both going to kind of have that, oh, shit, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I can't wait to talk with him. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, we're going to have some quote-unquote bigger name people too, and hopefully with those, it's going to be good entertainment, because I'm sure they get sick and tired of just getting on these local yokel podcasts and just kind of, okay, well, I guess it's Tuesday, time to get on another one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're definitely going to pick their brains, but it's going to be lighthearted, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yes, exactly. So then we're going to dive into another topic, which we were kind of talking about earlier, and I kind of mentioned it a little bit ago, like property setups. So like I've said before, I'm definitely learning from you, but if you would go through and say, like, what are your main things that you look for on a property, be it like creeks, ridges, ag, access points, like what are your main things you're looking for?
The first thing I'm looking for is a big deer to hunt.
Right.
I mean, that might sound kind of cliche, but you can't kill a big buck if you're not where they want to be.
So when you say that, are you saying, so like you're driving down the road somewhere, and I'm kind of wondering if this is the same way when me and you were going turkey hunting. Like we were driving.
You see 10 strutters out in the field, and you're banging on somebody's door wanting permission to get in there?
Yes.
Pretty much.
Okay.
But outside of the rut, because that deer could be 5 miles away tomorrow. He could have came from 5 miles the other direction yesterday.
Right, okay.
So If it's an area I know that holds big deer, definitely has the potential. That's what I look for, number one.
So when you say potential, like I think that's kind of what I'm trying to ask you is like what is the potential of these properties like that you're looking for?
Definitely in a well-known big deer area. Probably pressure in the area would be number two. Access, number three. And as the list goes on, food, water, and cover.
Gotcha. Because I know when I went and sat with you that one evening, it was like, I mean, we were close to a road, not too close, but close enough. No, I kind of noticed that when every time a car would come by, and it wasn't all the time, but when one would come by, I'd kind of see you perk up a little bit and kind of like, we don't, hurry up, get by, don't be coming over here.
Yeah, it definitely makes me a little uneasy hunting that close to the road. I know the deer are used to it for the most part, especially where we were hunting that night. I mean, it was even gun season. There was shots ringing off around us, and those deer didn't even care.
Right.
So they know they're not pressured right there where they're at. It just, being a land manager, you just kind of watch out for your surroundings, make sure everybody driving by is doing the right thing. They're not, parking there and harassing the wildlife or trying to shoot a deer, whether they know you're in that blind or not, right. Try to shoot a deer illegally. So
right.
I try to keep an eye on all my surroundings.
So, okay, so with the way that you go through and on yours, so you definitely have more access to hunting more property than I do. And you've kind of got your stuff figured out, I feel, for the most part. So for somebody like me, like we were just sitting here and talking about my little, I think it's 40 acres and I hunt maybe 20 of it. So since we are going to kind of try to make that something to bring deer to me, what do you feel are like the main two things that we need to do to get mine going?
What you've got working for you is you definitely have the bedding cover. That's a given. So what we're going to do is we're going to make that property hunt bigger. We're going to hunt the edges of it instead of getting down in the heart of it, unless the conditions are absolutely perfect and you have to get aggressive.
Right.
But that's a last resort. I don't think very many times it's going to come to that. Those deer are going to come to you, and essentially that's what you want them to do, because when they can come to you and you can kind of make them come the way you want them to, you've got control of the game. So
you're definitely kind of a, I don't know if this is the right wording, but you're kind of a hunt on the fringe kind of guy.
Oh yeah,
like definitely not.
Yeah, keep the deer, especially the big bucks, in the heart of your property. If you can keep them happy there,
right,
they're not going to stray too far.
Okay, because I've noticed through our conversations things like that too. Like I've this and that, and you kind of we're nice about it. And you're like, yeah, you can kind of put your food plots, where you want, and your stands, this and that. And then as our relationship's grown, you're kind of like, all right, man, so this is what we're doing. So we need you to go through and get your stuff moved out here, like this is that, this and that. Because, don't get me wrong, I'm seeing deer. I went through and I shot the buck that I was looking at. I hit him right in the old meat and didn't find him. And, the neighbor got him. But that's what's getting me excited is by me doing the things that I'm doing, by learning little by little by little, and I'm seeing deer. So now I'm really excited because I'm trying to go through and see deer, like when you send me pictures or when I'm out there, sitting with you and it's 1, 2, 3, holy shit, there's a bunch out there. Like that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that the more you penetrate that property, especially a kind of a property that's set up your way where you do have the majority of all the good stuff, we'll call it, in the heart of your property already. If you're penetrating that, those deer, you're either pushing them out and going in,
right,
or they're just learning your behavior and sidestepping you. They're there, but they're just going around you the majority of the time. So the more you can minimize that intrusion and stay on the fringes,
right,
you're going to keep your wind direction better. You're going to keep your access better. You're going to keep your pressure lower, and you're going to see more deer.
See, that's what I'm excited for, is to just, I don't know, go through, learn, and get more into it. So I guess that's kind of a lead into whenever we get to that point to where we'll go through and do my stuff for my property, and then we'll talk about your property, what your plans are, because Right now, I don't give a shit. I'm going out. I'm ready to go hunting. But you are definitely more of the late season guy.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's just kind of come with how the properties are set up, the success I've had in the past. When I was first starting out, I wanted to hunt every chance I got. And I get it. It's exciting. You want to be out there, you want to be learning. But the older I get, the more I learn to just sit back, be patient, scout from a distance, let your cameras do the work, and strike when the iron's hot. And you can cut your sits down significantly. I'm not going to say maybe cut them in half, cut them in a quarter. You're going to cut them down a lot.
Right.
And you're going to be more successful doing it.
And I even noticed that more with, like I said, with our conversations back and forth and stuff like this, to where it's, I'll say this stands here and I'm going like this and that. And then I really start thinking more of, like you were saying, access and wind and stuff like this. And my sits have definitely this year have significantly dropped. And I feel, yes, not every sit, but when the getting was good, I've seen the deer that I've been looking for. So I'm definitely, like I say, interested in looking into that to pursue and make that better. So, all right, well, on to the next one then. So speaking of bucks and everything, do you even have cameras up yet with anything?
Not really. I have been so busy with work that I have not put any cameras up yet, which is a huge shocker because I'm normally one of those guys that I will put cameras up in the summer, but everything has to be perfect. Access has to be perfect. Wind has to be perfect to get in there and get them hung.
To even put your cameras up. You go through.
Yeah, to even get them up.
Really?
I mean, everyth's got to be perfect. I even spray down.
No kidding.
I don't want those deer knowing they're being hunted in July or August.
See, because it makes sense because, like you were saying, with your access to get in and don't let them know you're hearing stuff. But I mean, I'm sure I'm like most people out there. It's almost it's first part of September, middle of September. I'm gonna walk out there in my shorts and t-shirt, and I'm gonna go out there and sweat my ass off and put these cameras where I want to. But,
yeah, I mean, everybody wants to get them out there. I'm dying to get them out there that time of year, but I'm not going to go in and do it and risk blowing that buck out.
Really? I mean, you're thinking that far.
Oh yeah,
out.
Yeah. I want the pressure completely off of it.
Wow. I mean, I wonder if that had something to do with me not seeing as many deer earlier in the season as I did when I first got permission to hunt this property, to where it literally was. I mean, I got permission. It was like 3 weeks, and it was hunting season. I just kind of went on the skin of my teeth, throwing stands up and putting cameras out.
Yeah, and as the technology has advanced in the trail cameras, it's been kind of crazy because, when I first started hunting, there wasn't really any trail cameras. You kind of had a trail timer type thing. Then it went to the 35 millimeter film cameras. So they would only hold X amount of pictures.
Right.
So you were out there every couple days, especially if you're in a high traffic area, checking your camera, pulling the film, swapping it out, taking it to town, getting it developed.
Right.
Then we moved into cameras with SD cards and all that good stuff. And the pressure kind of dropped off a little bit there, on you putting on the deer, going in and checking them. But now that we've got cell cams, it's awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I got some, but I'm still even just thinking about. Yeah, I think next year, for as dumb as I think I'm going to feel, I'll probably go out in a long shirt, some long pants, spray down, and try to, like you were saying, make sure the wind's right, not just because I got the day off, I don't feel like doing anything else, I'm going to go do it.
Yeah, and, it all comes down to the self-control of it. I mean, I want to be out there hanging them just as bad as the next guy. Honestly, majority of the time, I wait until the scrapes start showing up. Yeah, because a lot of guys will go and they'll hang them, in the summer, and that's fine. Especially if you're doing it the right way and you're being successful and getting the pictures and not pressuring the deer. That's great. But then you got to go back in and then you got to move them over to scrapes.
Right. Which mean you've talked about that, and that made total sense to me before when we were talking about that, which made me sit here and think too. So when we're talking about my property, getting things set up, what do they call them? Observation stands.
Yep.
Yeah. Or do you dabble in that at all?
Oh yeah, I have a lot of observation stands, and I primarily hunt those on days where I don't have a good wind direction to maybe get into some of my better stands, even later in the year, even getting in towards the rut and stuff like
Really?
that, I will back up and I will hunt those stands and just, I'm not saying you can't kill a big one in those stands, because you
Right.
can.
Right.
I mean, some of these stands, you'll see along the way, and you've seen a few of them already. You're going to look at them and you're going to be like, what in the hell do you have a stand in that tree for?
Oh,
you're,
yeah.
You're in the middle of 100 acres of corn and 3 trees in a fence row. That stand's there because I know those deer, especially those bucks, as October's progressing, travel those fence lines, moving between bed to food and food to bed, and laying down some scrape lines out there in the wide open, checking for does. And if the wind's not right to crash into some of my better spots, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to hang back and watch from a distance and still maybe have a crack at a big one.
And I kind of hope that maybe this goes through and brings some, I don't know what, like a light bulb going off, because I know definitely for me, just by sitting here and you going on saying that, you sit back and you watch and stuff. So instead of setting up your cameras and going and waiting for scrapes, so I'm kind of wondering if, or not wondering, I'm planning more for next year to go through and almost set up an observation stand and just sit back and just absolutely just take my bow, obviously, but to sit and just watch.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they're great spots too to shoot a doe. You're kind of off the beaten path a little bit, off the main travel routes. Doe comes through, perfect time to kill her.
Right. Especially with when I was telling you before on the backside of my property, which I know all I got to do is give a jingle and they'll let me hunt just over on that side, is a humongous alfalfa field. So I could sit there, watch where me and you were saying, like, ooh, maybe, this and that, put a plot here, X, Y, and Z, and I could sit there, still hunt, but then first and foremost, or more I can actually see, because this just popped in my head too. I think is why I kind of just stumbled on my words, is your camera only shows this point to this point.
Bingo.
To where if I can go through there and I can get a stand set up and I can sit there and I can get my big butt up in a tree and I can see, shoot, I bet probably almost at least that whole southeast corner. And I don't have to worry about facing it the right way, not facing it here, not facing it here. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you can see what's going on all around you and doing it very low key.
Yeah. Dude, I really do. I really do like that. So if you guys are listening to this, I mean, if you've already thought about it, I mean, you're way smarter than I am. But to me, that definitely was, the light bulb went off, and it was, yeah, I like that. One, it should hopefully suffice my itch to get out there and go do something, but I can see what's going on, make a better game plan for later into the season and things like that.
For sure. Most of my property's set up to where it sucks for a northeast wind, east wind, or southeast wind. So if we've got low pressure coming in, that's, an easterly wind is usually associated with it. So if I'm hunting, my wife's hunting, my dad's hunting, whoever, they text me, where should I go? We got an east wind. You're going to go climb in one of those observation stands. You're going to go see what's going on. You're going to be the eyes.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, that definitely gave me that aha moment. Because I mean, I don't know if you've been to the entire I think we've just been kind of more in the northern part.
Yeah.
But if on the southern part, I'm not joking, from the northern part to the southern part, if we go on the east side and we put up something, I can see probably almost halfway down to the other.
And it's going to benefit you too, setting up on that side, because with everything going on to the east of you right now, with them kind of clearing that property and cleaning it up,
Right.
if you can get in on that east side, that's going to open up a whole new realm of hunting for you just on the wind direction with a west wind.
Why would
Or
you say?
or a northwest wind, or even a southwest wind, because you're going to be covering a whole new area that basically you're not even touching right now, and you're going to be able to do it undetected.
Okay. Yeah. Oh man, this is awesome. I love this stuff. It gets my brain going, but at the same time, it makes me feel dumb because I'm like, why didn't I think about this earlier?
Well, and there's a lot of things that, over the years that I've had people point out to me, whether it be my dad or my wife or you, it's always good to have a second opinion, I think, on a farm.
Absolutely.
Whether you have a professional come in and consult it, or you have your buddy come in, that has maybe been deer hunting a little longer than you, stuff like that. It's good to get a second opinion or a second perspective of the lay of the land, what's going on, how you're hunting things. And then, there's things I even miss. Like, my dad taught me, and now I pretty much dictate to him how to hunt a lot of these spots. And he'll come to me and he'll be like, well, what if we do this? Or why don't we hang a stand down here or slip a blind in here? And I'm like, well, yeah, I never thought of that. It just might work.
Wait, I mean, that's again, it's still just in my brain to where I can't believe I never even thought about that. So, but with all that being said, so let's go to kind of what are some things that you've did, either you've consistently have done to where it's worked out good for you and your properties, or what have you changed up for this year that has been helping you?
Every year I try to do something to the properties. I'm one of those outdoorsmen that leave it better than you found it.
Right.
So all the things that I'm doing, I'm increasing the value, granted landowner permission. So yeah, I mean, a lot of times they're not going to tell you no if you ask for permission, know what you're doing, or have somebody with you that knows what you're doing, and you're ultimately increasing the value of their property. Right. And so if you can do that's probably number one. But some of the things I've changed up in the past is how I do some things, food plot wise, kind of learning as you go. I kind of got into it when, everybody else was kind of getting into it. And, there wasn't a lot to learn at that point. It was more take kind of your ag background and transfer it over to food plots.
I gotcha.
And go from there. Now it's pretty much down to a science. You talk to anybody in the land management world or the whitetail world that's been doing this long enough. I mean, they can pretty much write a book on it and tell you exactly how to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Granted, you have Mother Nature provide the rain.
Yes. Yeah.
Which we learned the
found
hard
out.
way.
Yes, we did. But speaking of that, so because I know that right from your house, you see that one plot and you're messaging me all the time. You're like, oh my God, dude, like he's down there. This sucks. Like, because I got
work's going on, family life's going on, and I can't be there,
right.
And he's there.
Right. So correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the first time you've put like that big of a plot there before? I know you used to have a stand or a blind there.
It was maybe a third of an acre smaller. And I had planted a few different things over the years, and it had always produced good. Mm-hmm. But I had got on the phone with a buddy of mine, and that we're going to have later on in some of these episodes.
Yes, can't wait.
And he picked. We'll give you a little clue here. He picked the mad scientist's brain.
Right.
And he was lucky enough to give a lot of this information to me. So he told me, he's like, dude, if I'm going to plant anything on my property, and I guarantee you're going to kill any buck you want on it, it's going to be biologic deer radish.
And if that also doesn't help, get a little clue. Sorry if you did kind of figure it out. It's not the main one. It's a lower kind of a peon, but does a lot of back scenes, behind the scene kind of stuff, and it's a lot of, I feel, getting more into this, figuring stuff out. A lot of their success is because of this gentleman we're speaking of.
And I kind of bucked the system on what he was telling me for a year. And then this year, I'm like, you know what? Let's do it.
Right.
Let's plant the radish.
Right.
And even though we didn't get the rain, the plot still kind of looked like crap.
Oh,
just because of germination. There was enough there that I don't think I'll ever go a year without planting radishes again.
And definitely after, again, I mean, I don't know if I can emphasize this enough. Like our plots, they look straight like trash.
Oh yeah.
They were not producing anything what they should. And
yeah, I mean, we had the seed in the ground for 3 weeks before we had a germinating rain.
Yeah.
We had a seed swelling rain maybe 2-3 days after we planted.
Yep.
And that was about it. So once we did finally get that driving rain, we were pretty excited. Things were looking good, and then it dried up again.
Yep, sure did. But yeah, that's got me going to where I'm thinking that I'm probably going to go on that side too, because what's it going to hurt, you know? So would that be one of your biggest things, like I said, that you kind of changed up for this year would be your food plot, like what you put out?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my food plot strategy in general, like I usually kind of just find an open place, talk to the landowner, go work the ground, plant it. Now, the more I'm getting into it and the more I'm seeing it work, it's, okay, what can I plant at what times to be the most palatable at those times for the deer? And the shape of the plot. What's going to, make those deer feel a little safer, enter the plot a little earlier, come by the plot a little, or come by the blind or the stand a little closer.
So when you say the shape of the plot to make them feel comfortable, so you're just not putting like a big circle. Like there's a reason why we did kind of like we tucked, I guess, kind of an armpit.
Yeah, kind of made a little armpit, kind of, made some little, curves and coves in there. There was, a lot of that thick overhanging brush, a lot of grown-up locusts and, some of the big overhanging limbs there. I knew that if we designed that plot that way to hug that cover and provide those overhanging limbs, they were going to use them. And they're coming out in that armpit. They're coming out on the other side of that armpit. The wind direction is perfect for where they're coming out of, and they're working all those overhanging limbs. They're rubbing on all those locust trees on the edges. I mean, the area is just tore up.
Man, I guess, probably weird, but I guess if anybody else is listening, they're a little weird too. So I guess we'll all be weird together. But that just interests me so much because, like I said, I've only been into the hunting stuff for just, a little over a handful of years, and I'm trying to learn more and this and that. And the more I'm speaking with you and going through and doing more research and stuff like this, dude, I'm not going to lie. Like my plots, like where they're at and the design they are is because that's where they fit.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly where they went.
That's exactly how I started. If I had an open place, by God, there's going to be a plot there.
Right.
And to some extent it works. But if you can be a little more strategic about it, maybe, step back and kind of look at things from a different angle on especially aerials or having a buddy come in and, kind of get a second opinion on things. You can still plant a plot in that area, but change the shape of it a little bit or, add a little structure to it. I don't know about your farm. I mean, you got a little more structure to your farms. And I think that's a big thing that's kind of overlooked on killing big deer is structure, coves, fingers, pinch points, this and that.
Yeah, and I got quite a few of those out.
Yeah, and I don't. Like, everything around me is pretty straight. Like, it's, was designed to be cleared out, to be farmed, and everything is straight. So the more structure I can add to these plots, the better it seems to be working.
That's awesome. Shoot, I mean, it feels like we've been talking about that for I don't even know how long, so I can't wait for us to get into one when we actually start digging in to the properties, what our game plan is to go through and set this here, pull this here, never put something like this over here again because it didn't work. Definitely want to try this from over here and over here. So I can't wait for us to really dig in to that. But I think we kind of went off track here I think we were talking about, I asked you if you had cameras out there. The reason I was asking is I know you sent me the picture of the one buck that you've seen out there, but it was from last year though, right? The picture was?
Of the big 8?
Yes.
That was from 4 years ago.
4 years ago. So he's rolling around here, so he's probably 7-8 years old.
Yeah, I'm guessing he's 7.5 this year.
Son. So other than him, have you seen anything out there that's really, I mean, because obviously he comes through this year. He's 7-8 years old. He's going down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, a couple hunts ago, I had a big old mature deer. I think he's older yet. I mean, gray face, big body. Majority of the other mature bucks were still bumping some does around, and he could care less. So
you know he's old. Then.
Yeah, that usually tells me he's old. So yeah, he's definitely going to be a target. There's another big 8 running around, probably maybe mid 150s. I've been seeing him pretty frequent.
You got to guess about his age?
I'm guessing he's probably 5.5.
Oh, so he's next year. He's definitely going to be at least one that you're going to get a good look at.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it would be hard for me to pass him this year, honestly.
Right.
As good of a deer as he is, he's mature. But my heart's set on that big one, you know.
Yeah.
And I honestly thought this deer was dead. Back when he was 3 years old, had tons of pictures of him. Passed him early season, just on a prayer that this deer makes it, because he was like mid 150s as a 3-year-old 8-pointer, which is unheard of. And he kind of disappeared throughout the rut on me, and then he came back late season because of the food, and I laid off of him late season. He was out every single night. I could see him from the house, and one day he still had his antlers. He come out the next afternoon, they were gone.
Just dropped already.
So I was pretty excited to get in there. Like, I could not wait to get in there and find his sheds. I knew where he was coming from every night, and if they weren't right where I thought they were going to be close. So we roll in there to shed hunt, and that side of the creek had been shed poached. There was boot tracks in there. Even with, you know, people knowing I run, you know, outside of this year, knowing I run cameras quite often.
Right.
I mean, I even let them run through, you know, shed season. And yeah, we'd been shed poached. The other side of the creek had not, because they couldn't get across it. So we were fortunate enough. I think we found like 9 or 10 antlers right in that side, kind of right in there where that food plot is now that we're talking about.
Gotcha.
And after that, he just disappeared. I mean, he quit coming out after they had shed poached it. He had quit coming out. I think he just got bumped out of there. Did not feel comfortable there anymore.
Right.
You know, maybe find another area he liked a little better.
Which,
And
yeah.
now he's back.
That's awesome. So you got 2 this year that you got your eyes on. So do you have any that you're looking forward to next year? Anything getting you like real excited? Yeah,
there's on a different farm, there's a couple of really good up and comers. You've seen the footage of those.
Yes.
They are going to be hammers in a couple years. And then there's a few other littler bucks running around that are a little bit younger, 2.5 years old right now, that have some pretty goofy character going on. You know, I think with enough nutrition and enough age, I think they could possibly blow into something cool.
Something good. That's awesome. Because I know personally, there's one. Well, there's one this year. Like I said, I freaking backstrapped him, and luckily my neighbor got him during shotgun season, so he wasn't suffering too long. Because I think literally like I said, made that terrible shot, and then it was like 3 days later, and he got put out of his misery. So the buck that I was looking forward to getting this year is out of the picture. And you've seen pictures of him because he looks real similar to your big 8. I got a big 8 on the property too.
Yeah.
And I think he's only 4 now. Like, I think next year 5, I think he's going to explode.
Yeah, and that's, you know, everybody, you know, needs to be comfortable harvesting what they want. You know, we're all hunters. You know, harvest what makes you happy. But it's definitely awesome when you can see them hit maturity, hit their potential, you know, and there's just some deer out there that won't hit their potential.
Oh yeah, which is like the one that I backstrapped. I mean, he had a big body, but I mean, his rack was, honestly, dude, it was probably maybe 120.
Yeah.
130 on a good day, maybe. I mean, it was just more of his body.
Yeah, it's just, you know, all of it boils down to genetics. It's not just the buck passing on his genetics, it's the doe too.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. So, but with all that being said, even though she knows, Kaylin, if your deer comes through and I got a shot, he's going on my wall. You can come see him whenever you want. So, I think we're going to kind of start wrapping this up here a little bit. Looks like we're going to be rolling easily close to an hour, which I knew you and I get together, and it's going to be a lot of talking.
Oh yeah, we can be here till midnight.
Exactly, not a problem. Yeah, easily. So. But I know we talked about getting kind of thinking about turkey season and stuff like this. Like I said, I'm looking forward to it because my deer season is kind of meh at best. You got some stuff to get you all excited. But with that being said, dude, I'm big time looking forward to turkey season, dude. You got me bit bad. I mean, I'm ready to go.
Oh yeah, it's I hate to say this because I love chasing big deer, but there's nothing that beats a turkey gobbling in the morning in the spring.
Oh, dude, And for everybody that's listening, I say everybody like it's going to be a lot. For all like maybe 7 of you listening, including my mom and dad, we're going to have I already went through and did a video of my turkey hunt from last year. It's my first bird ever. Levi and I were back and forth on the phone, chit-chatting, talking about this. Him and I went out to this property. We tried to get Kaylin a bird, and things didn't work out, but it's a hunt that I will never forget. We will go on and talk more about that when she comes in one time. Like I said, it's one that I won't ever forget. But I don't know when, we're still kind of getting some stuff planned out, but we do have a turkey video that I'm going to go through and put out. I went through, got him with the bow, came in at I think 6 yards, maybe. And my wife was with me. She was right there, but I'm kind of going in round and round here to get back to where he was saying, like, there's nothing about when this bird's gobbling. Dude, my wife went from, I think she went and sat with me one other time turkey hunting. She was okay with it at best. But, dude, that morning they were hammering. And they came through, and he came through all puffed up and hammering it. Dude, there's especially I feel it's kind of weird being an Illinois boy and saying, dude, I'm looking forward to turkey hunting. Like, I feel that's kind of a rare thing around here anymore.
Oh, yeah. Us Yankees, we're not known for
No.
turkey hunting's a thing in the South.
Exactly.
I mean, that's where your big turkey hunters are from, but Illinois is getting a few.
Oh, dude. I mean, yes, because I believe we talked, there was a couple that, I mean, dude, fix me if I'm wrong here, but I want to say some people around here get like 25 pounds. I mean, they were huge.
Oh, yeah. We've killed birds up to about 28 and a half pounds.
Yeah.
Just us personally. I think my personal best is around 27 and a half.
I wish I weighed mine, but it was, dude, just like everything else, whirlwind, all this, excited, blah, 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 and I forgot to weigh him. But, I mean, had good spurs on him, and like I said, he came in 7 yards, and I'll give everybody a little quick kind of make sure you keep an eye out for when the video comes. But, dude, I cut that sucker's head off with a broadhead. Decapped him, took his head clean off. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Probably, definitely one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. It was absolutely awesome. So I can't wait to get that put out there for you guys. So, like I said before, I think we're going to kind of wrap this up here real quick. You can go through, if you're listening to this, we're on Facebook. You can go through and look us up at The Hunted. You can go through and get us on Instagram. We are also The Hunted. I don't even know what my handles are on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. So just go through and look us up on The Hunted. So,
You'll find us.
Yeah, you'll find us. Absolutely. I mean, you got anything for our first one here, getting all put down, wrapped up in the books?
I think it was a good one for the first one. I mean, we covered a lot of topics.
Oh, a lot of topics.
A lot of things that we're going to drill down on even further in the future, especially with our guests. And, yeah, it's just going to be a learning experience from here.
Oh, I'm excited. I can't believe that it's finally here. And, dude, yeah, I'm just excited. I'm stumbling over my words again because, like you're saying, we're going to have guests coming in, and we're going to have this and that going on. We can't wait to tell you guys more stories of what's going on, which is another reason why we're switching over to the podcast stuff a little bit more than the video stuff, because everybody always wants to see a kill on the video. To where on the podcast side, we can go through and we can talk about our ups, talk about our downs. You can't really make a video of not killing something. But we can go through and we can tell you how we were feeling, what was going on, why this didn't work, why that, this and that.
How we got our butts kicked a little bit on certain things here and there, and
right.
Ride the roller coaster with us.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for listening. Really don't have an ending handle, so I'm just going to say thank you so much for listening. Hope you have a wonderful day, and get ready for the next one.